what do you need a kit for? If you just need it to practice, I would say get one of these. Morning folks, welcome back to the channel. Okay, today we're going to take a look at my Tama True Touch training kit. This is a practice kit, not electric, it's fully acoustic, and I'm pairing it with some low volume cymbals. So without further ado, let's take a look. Here it is. So they do various different formats of this. So first of all, let's talk about what we actually get. So included in this particular setup, which is the 5-piece setup, you get this snare pad, 2 rack toms, a floor tom, and then the bass drum pad, this stand here, and these 3 brackets. So let's see if we can look from here. You get these, I think these are the MC69. They're good, they're quite expensive clamps. That one for that one for that, and then this one here on kind of a long ball joint thing. What you don't get is a snare stand. You don't get a bass drum pedal. You don't get a hi-hat stand. You don't get the cymbal stands, and in fact, you don't get the cymbals. So I'm using the Zildjian L80 low volume cymbal set. The snare pad, quite interesting. It's actually a mesh head. But within the mesh head, let's just take it off. Within the mesh head, underneath that actual mesh part there, there's some foam. And in the middle, apparently, some ball bearings, which we'll see in a second. And on the bottom here, really quite a heavy unit. And you can actually tune the mesh pad to give it the correct sort of tension. Fits on a normal snare pad. And there it is. So let's look at that now, because the reason I bought this was that I was curious to see how the response compared to an actual snare drum. Because the problem is, what I was finding was that on my electric kit with the mesh heads, all the heads were really quite springy, so the response wasn't really true. I suppose that's the name of the kit. The response really wasn't true to how an acoustic kit would feel. So I'd find I was practicing on my electric kit, and then I'd go to do a gig, get my acoustic kit out, and somehow it didn't feel the same. So talked about the ball bearings. Listen. Gives it a kind of snare-ish sound, and then if you want, you can actually, using a normal drum key, you can just alter the tension like you can on any mesh head. So it's made it a little bit bouncier. So I think that actually that response, and that's what I kind of wanted to try and demonstrate, that response is similar to a snare drum. Now, so that's fine. It makes a good practice pad on its own. And in fact, some of the setups you can get, they do have just a setup where you can buy this or just the kick pad, of which more later. Now, the toms are interesting. Now, I saw one review where they likened it to being like buckets. I suppose at the end of the day, they're just plastic bucket type things. But what's interesting, it's like a textile type foam. If you can see how that gives. So I press on it. So here's a bounce. Well, it doesn't. And that's very much like a floor tom or a rack tom. So it's actually quite representative. So this one bounces well, or similar to a snare. And these, hardly at all. Let's just compare the response of a typical practice pad. This is a Bill Sanders. How bouncy that is. That's more like a military or a marching drum type tight head response. Again, it's really easy to play. That is a lot less bouncy, although perhaps you can't tell there. Yeah, see how much response you've got there. So, nice snare-like response, nice tom-like response. Now, the bass drum pad is like a sort of a rubbery type thing. You attach the pedal on like normal, and in fact this stand here, there, let's take this apart, this stands alone. It's really good. And then look, this stand here, this plastic bit stops the metals from contacting. So what you do is you put your pedal on, slot this over there, pop it on, it's nice and heavy, and there we go. And it's actually fairly similar in feel to a bass drum. It's not perfect, but then when are they ever? You know, it's better than most, and it's better than a mesh head, I think. Can't really tell the response of that, can you, from that? Sound wise though, sounds a little bit like a kick. You can let the beater off, or you can bury it. So yeah, there you go. So the stand is nice and secure. It's all very easy to adjust. One thing I was curious about was whether or not the bass drum pad would creep as you play it, but actually it doesn't. It's got spikes in it, as you can probably see. Got spikes in my pedal as well, don't really need them, but it's really, really stable and steady. Now I've got this on I've got all this on a Yamaha 700 series snare stand, which is a standard snare stand. These are 700 series cymbal stands. As I say, the snare stand, hi-hat stand, cymbals and cymbal stand aren't part of the set. What I'm using it with is the L80 cymbal set. I'll do a separate review on these, I think, but that's a ride cymbal, 18-inch. This is a 16-inch crash. And then these are 14-inch hi-hats. So here's your sounds just from the camera. So you can see it takes up a very small footprint. It's really nice. And I think what we'll do now is, just using the iPhone, we'll stick it on a tripod, just the phone audio, and we'll record some clips of me actually playing it, see how it sounds. And we'll come back for our final thoughts. Okay, so there we are. It's not a playing demonstration. It's not meant to be. It's a demonstration of the kit. But what I've tried to do is include some patterns that meant you could hear what the toms were like, hear how the snare sounded, hear how the cymbals balanced. What I would say is that I think the cymbals are probably a bit louder than the drums. which is something that you just have to get used to. But actually, from a teaching and a playing point of view, what I find that I tend to do and what students tend to do is you actually overhit the cymbals anyway. So I feel like what that actually teaches you to do is balance the kit. Now, of course, it's no substitute for actually playing on an actual acoustic kit, but we can't all do that. And I certainly couldn't teach on an acoustic kit in here or have one set up for any length of time because it's too noisy. I could take it into the house, but again, it's too noisy when people are in and the neighbours wouldn't really like it. So it's better in terms of balancing the kit than certainly any of the electric kits that I've used, because it helps you to realise that actually you don't want to overplay the cymbals. The response that you get from the drum pads is very similar to an acoustic kit. Again, not exactly the same, but it's the best. I teach on this. My students love it. So this 5-piece version, snare, 3 toms, bass drum stand, tom stand, and the 3 tom clamps, I think it's about £450 to £500, depending on where you get it from. They also do one without this, so just a 4-piece, and I think that's $100 cheaper or £100 cheaper. I don't know, you'll have to look it up because prices will obviously vary. Now, all told, you can also just get the pad, the bass drum pad, sorry, and the snare pad separately, or maybe as a set of 2. Now, all told, I think that's quite expensive. That said though, let's do some maths. So let's say £500 for my 5-piece setup. These low volume cymbals, I got a B stock from Tama, but I think they're about £300-ish. So there we are at 800. Then you need a snare stand, bass drum pedal, cymbal stands, etc. Now you could get a hardware pack for £200-300 and that would be fine. I happen to have these stands already because I've got too many stands. So I would say that for £1,000 all in, you've got a very viable alternative to an electric kit. £1,000 will buy you a decent electric kit with mesh heads. It won't buy you one of the really high-end ones from Roland or Yamaha, but they're like the price of a small car. Personally, I wouldn't bother. What do you need a kit for? If you just need it to practice, I would say get one of these. Obviously, if you want to record onto a computer, drum sounds, well, this isn't going to work because they're not pads. But I don't want to do that. If you want something to sound exactly like real drums and put headphones on and so on, again, I feel like this won't do the job. Oh, in terms of volume though, it really isn't that loud. I mean, compared to the sound of pads on an electric kit, it isn't much louder. So it's still a good low volume alternative, but I can't really do a proper comparison here. Anyway, in summary, I like it. I recommend it. Tama True Touch Training, try saying that. Tama True Touch Training Kit is a good one, and I think you should get it. So guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. More reviews to follow. Cheers for now. Bye.